And today we install some limb risers on the Tacoma. And I hate to admit it, but I couldn't even think of anything funny for the intro, so let's get right to it. Welcome back to the Tacomaholic channel, everybody. If this is your first time stopping by, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you're up to date on everything Tacoma related. All right, guys, limb risers are one of those things that are certainly useful to help protect your Tacoma off-road that I really don't see on a lot of Tacomas. My buddy Eat Sleep Tacos had them on his Tacoma for a little while, and I really just mean a little while because on his old bumper he had the full hoops and he had it mounted to the outside of the hoop, but obviously you can't do that with this bumper. And since I have the same bumper, we're gonna get a little creative with it. So what a limb riser actually is, it's pretty much a steel cable that attaches up here somewhere, and then if you have a roof rack, to the side of the roof rack, so the steel cable will run down. So if you're off-roading in a forested area, in thick vegetation and branches, they will hit the cable before they hit your body of the truck, your hood, windshield, all that, to hopefully avoid damage. So the limb riser will actually guide the branches up and over. Obviously it's going to hit on the top maybe. I suppose you could do like a full setup, but I'm just doing the basic roof rack. We're going to cut and weld a special bracket up here I'll show you that'll come up so I can open the hood. It's like 1/8 inch steel, so it should fit right in there nicely. Obviously if you only off-road in like the desert or on the beach, you don't need these at all, but if you live in a forested area and that's primarily where you do your wheeling, stay tuned. You guys know I usually give you like links to specific products I'm using, but for this, it's not like it's a set, like a specific setup you get for your truck. It's really like whatever you want. Obviously, use stainless steel since it's going to be exposed to the elements all the time. So you'll need a couple eye bolts. I'll show you all the stuff in just a little bit, but all in all, it should only cost you about 30 bucks to do this yourself. Now, for my specific application, I will be using the top of on either side of the fairing here for my roof rack. You can see it has 2 bolts holding it in. These are stainless steel, of course. I'm going to go ahead and replace the topmost bolt with a stainless steel eye bolt so I can have a point of attachment up here. On my application, these are M8 by 1.25. If you're attaching to a different roof rack, of course, you might have a different size bolt, but that is a good option. And I'm using the top one just to lift the limb riser a little bit more off the body of my truck to give it just a little more protection. I've already done the other side, so I will show you what that looks like once it's installed. And you can see here, I went ahead and oriented the eye bolt, I guess, so it's as low profile as possible with the wind coming this way, so hopefully it won't make any noise, but obviously I can easily adjust it if I need to, but that is what it looks like. Stainless steel, so it will be weather resistant. Okay, here's the equipment we'll be using today, and again, this may work for you, it may not. Obviously, you've got some steel flat bar here. You can grab this at Home Depot. Of course, this is way more than we need. We'll cut off little brackets. I'll show you in just a second. If I can pick it up off the ground. This is 1/8 inch thick, which should fit in, so it's sticking out of the hood line without actually rubbing. We've got some steel cable right here. These are all aluminum, 4 of the crimps to hold the cable down, and then 2 aluminum turnbuckles.
I had to remember.
Is that it?
No, I had to remember which part I was
like, wait, I'm disoriented now. That's for that little notch that's on the wall in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how is this for a custom bracket? I didn't exactly film the process because, again, this is just specific to what I'm doing with my truck. Got my buddy for some Randy fab action here. It's going to hook in, you can see right here down on the bolt, to the outside of the headlight bolt right here. And then we're going to use the extra hole right here just to mount that down. You can see it goes up the side of the wall right there, and then it bends out. And we are just going to loop the cable right through here and crimp it, run it up to the hook on the roof rack right there. Okay, so that's what it will look like. Obviously I need to go paint this, but that's what it's going to look like when it is installed. The gap between the outside of my truck and my hood is about 3/16. This is 1/8, so you can see we split the difference perfectly right here when I close the hood. And then when I push it down, you can see it doesn't really stick up all that much, so it's not a huge eyesore. Since I'm probably going to run these all the time, it'd be a huge poser. And I'm not sure if it's going to come up on camera. You can see the gaps right there, so it's not rubbing on the paint or the wrap on either side of the gap. And that is what the bracket looks like, securely bolted down from the inside. And with the hood fully closed, you can see sticks up just a little bit, not a huge eyesore at all though. And where it sticks up, it actually splits the difference perfectly. If you can see that on camera, I know everything's dark. And here is the other side. So now just to crimp the cable, attach it with the hook up at the top, and we are good to go. Okay, so here's the basic setup. I got the bracket. We are taking the wrap, stainless steel wire. You thread it through the crimp, through the hole on the bracket where it's going to attach, through the other side of the crimp, and just have a little bit hanging out. And we are now going to take, you can either use a chisel or a wider flathead screwdriver with a heavy hammer. And we are going to actually crimp this together so it is nice and tight, not going to come out. Just do one side at a time, take your time, and should be good to go.
Good to go! Good to go!
Trust me.
These ones are stronger.
Yeah,
I grabbed a different brand.
That's not moving at all.
They're still aluminum, I think.
They're like Damascus steel. Okay, so when you're crimping, just do one side at a time. You want to get it down until the outside part of the circle really starts to bite in and pinch the wire. Then make sure you give it a few good whacks on the very ends, you know, just sort of start at one side and go to the other. And then do the exact same thing for the opposite side until it is holding the wire securely. All right, guys, at this point it has been a few weeks because, long story short, the initial set of brackets, they were just a little too close with the attachment right here where I felt like it could have actually rubbed on the vinyl and, of course, sort of wear a hole in it over time. So I took both of the brackets off, added about a ½ inch to them, you know, re-welded them, all that, got them painted. And then I had to order some more of the line, the steel cable, because actually what I had left was too short, because obviously you have to cut this to remove it and to do all this over again. So I had to reorder everything, set it up, measure it, but now you can see they are on perfectly. I actually have them tightened down. So when you do this, you want to make sure it's a little longer than necessary. Get everything up here set, cut off the excess, and have some slack in here so you can get the hook up in the loop up here and then just twist this tight and it is good to go. I just drove around at highway speeds and you can see it moves right there, but it wasn't moving at all at the highway speeds, which is certainly nice because obviously I don't want any kind of wind noise or anything like that. And I'll show you the other side real quick. It does clear up there on the snorkel. This side's looking pretty busy now with the limb riser, my antenna, the snorkel, the pod light, all that. But of course, I'm not going to be running the limb risers all the time. I do have them on right now because I'm actually going wheeling tomorrow, so can't wait to test them out. And as you can see from the side, they will provide much more protection against any overhanging branches, which I wish I would have finished this for the last wheeling trip I did, because we had tons of overhanging branches and it was sort of a pucker moment for probably about a mile on the trail where everything was just sort of overlapping, dragging around. And if you can see that on camera, obviously I have the vinyl wrap to protect the paint underneath, but tons of new damage from that. This will help alleviate that. It's not going to completely get rid of it, obviously, but it is certainly better than nothing, and obviously to keep anything like bigger branches from hitting your glass. But of course, if you're driving through stuff that thick, it might be prudent to sort of get out and clear the trail just a little bit. The trails I have here in Northern Virginia, they're really just like freshly grown vegetation because they're cleared on a yearly basis, it seems like, but for the seasons, yeah, obviously they grow back. So the limb risers for that should be a great addition. All right, everybody, if you have the welding skills to make the brackets required, this is really not an expensive mod to do at all. I want to say maybe 50 bucks total, and that's just because I have tons of that steel braided covered line. I think I had to get 50 feet, so I've got plenty of extra if I want to use cables for anything else in the future. So relatively easy mod. Let me know what you think. Comment below if you plan on doing this yourself. As always, thanks so much for supporting the channel by watching this video. Help me grow the channel even more by sharing it with your friends on social media. Enjoy your upcoming holiday weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.